Most people believe money comes from effort. That belief alone is why they will never be rich. Effort is visible. Wealth is invisible. Effort is loud. Wealth is silent. Effort makes you tired. Wealth makes others work for you. From childhood, you were trained to associate virtue with struggle. If it's hard, it must be valuable. If it's easy, it must be immoral. That moral programming is not accidental. It is structural. It keeps systems stable and people obedient. In 2026, money will not reward the hardest worker. It will reward the one who understands leverage, timing, and human weakness. Look closely at the people who accumulate wealth fast. They are rarely the smartest in the room, rarely the most ethical, rarely the most talented. They are the most detached. Detachment is power. When you are not emotionally invested in outcomes, you can choose the most effective move instead of the most comforting one. Most people chase money the way a child chases approval. They want to feel good about themselves while getting rich. They want admiration. They want validation. They want to be liked. Money does not respond to need. It responds to positioning. If you want to get rich faster than 99% of people in 2026, you must first unlearn the emotional reflexes that keep you average. The first reflex is fairness. Fairness is a social fantasy. Markets are not fair. They are efficient. Efficiency does not care who deserves what. It rewards whoever understands the rules and exploits them without hesitation. Most people wait for permission. They wait to be chosen. They wait for certainty. They wait for motivation. By the time they act, the opportunity has already been absorbed by someone colder. Coldness is not cruelty. Coldness is clarity. In psychology, emotion narrows perception. Fear collapses time. Hope distorts probability. Guilt paralyzes action. The rich are not fearless. They simply act before fear finishes its sentence. In 2026, speed will separate classes more violently than intelligence ever did. Opportunities will not announce themselves politely. They will appear briefly, imperfectly, wrapped in uncertainty. Most people will overthink. A few will move. Those few will extract disproportionate rewards. Money accumulates around decision makers, not thinkers. Thinking feels productive. Decision-making creates consequences. If you hesitate, someone else decides for you. The second reflex you must destroy is loyalty. Loyalty to systems, loyalty to jobs, loyalty to identities that no longer serve you. Loyalty is noble in relationships. It is lethal in economics. Corporations have no loyalty to you. Markets have no memory of your sacrifices. Your past effort earns no interest. Every year, millions stay poor because they remain loyal to a version of themselves that cannot win. They say, "That's not who I am." What they really mean is, "I am afraid to become who I need to be." Transformation is always lonely. That is why most avoid it. If everyone around you understands your plan, it is already too safe to be exceptional. The fastest wealth is built in silence. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. Visibility invites resistance. Silence invites accumulation. When you broadcast your intentions, you activate envy, interference, and social correction. People will not stop you directly. They will confuse you. They will question you. They will slow you down. Most people mistake feedback for wisdom. Feedback is often disguised fear from those who chose safety. If you want to move faster than 99% of people, you must become comfortable being misunderstood. The third reflex is moral comfort. People want money that allows them to feel superior to others. They want to be rich and righteous. This is the slowest path possible. Money flows toward results, not intentions. Outcomes are morally neutral. They simply exist. The moment you hesitate because a move feels too aggressive, someone else takes it without apology. Aggression in markets does not mean harm. It means decisiveness without emotional delay. In 2026, hesitation will be punished faster than ignorance. Technology accelerates everything, including inequality. The gap between those who act and those who wait will widen brutally. Those who understand systems will scale. Those who rely on effort will be replaced. This is not pessimism, it is pattern recognition. Every major shift in history redistributed wealth upward to those who adapted early. Late adopters do not fail because they are stupid. They fail because they seek certainty in a world that rewards asymmetry. Asymmetry means risking small to gain large. Most people risk large for small. They trade years of their life for fixed salaries. They trade flexibility for security. They trade upside for predictability. Predictability is expensive. You pay for it with your future. The rich seek optionality. Options are power. The ability to pivot quickly, exit early, and re-enter strategically is worth more than stability. In psychology, control over time is the deepest form of wealth. If you own your time, you can experiment. If you can experiment, you can learn faster. If you learn faster, you compound advantage. Most people are trapped in linear lives. They earn linearly. They think linearly. They age linearly. Wealth is exponential. Exponential outcomes come from systems, not effort. Systems work while you rest. Effort stops when you do. In 2026, the most valuable skill will not be knowledge. Knowledge is everywhere. It will be synthesis and positioning. Knowing what to ignore is more valuable than knowing what to study. The poor drown in information. The rich filter ruthlessly. Attention is currency. Where you place it determines who you become. If your attention is scattered, your wealth will be too. Most people consume content for stimulation. The wealthy consume information for leverage. They are not entertained, they are hunting. They look for inefficiencies, for gaps, for mispriced attention. Where the crowd is emotional, there is opportunity. Where the crowd is confident, risk increases. Emotion creates distortion. Distortion creates opportunity. This is why crises mint fortunes. While most panic, a few position themselves calmly. They are not smarter. They are less emotional. Detachment again. You cannot win fast money games while emotionally attached to comfort, reputation, or consensus. The fourth reflex to destroy is identity pride. People cling to labels. I'm not a salesperson. I'm not technical. I'm not like them. Identity is a prison disguised as self-respect. The moment you say, I am not, you limit potential paths. Wealth requires temporary mass. You must be willing to become what the situation demands, not what your ego prefers. Ego seeks consistency. Money rewards adaptability. The fastest climbers shed skins without nostalgia. They do not romanticize who they were. They optimize who they are becoming. In 2026, rigid identities will collapse under speed. The market will not wait for you to feel authentic. It will move on. The fifth reflex is social approval. Most people subconsciously choose actions that keep them acceptable to their environment. If everyone around you is broke, ambition feels like betrayal, so you shrink your goals. You delay your moves. You rationalize mediocrity as balance. This is social gravity. Escaping it requires psychological violence against your own instincts. You must choose growth over belonging. Belonging can be rebuilt later. Time cannot. The people who get rich fast often look antisocial early on, not because they hate people, but because they prioritize trajectory over comfort. They tolerate loneliness as an investment. Loneliness is the entry fee for disproportionate outcomes. Those who cannot sit alone with their vision will dilute it to stay liked. Money does not reward likability, it rewards leverage. Leverage comes from capital, skills, networks, or systems. The fastest builders stack at least two. Most people have none because they never focus long enough to build one deeply. Focus is painful. Distraction is pleasurable. That is why distraction is abundant and focus is rare. Every notification steals future wealth. In 2026, attention discipline will be more valuable than talent. Those who control their inputs will dominate outputs. If you cannot control what you consume, you cannot control what you produce. This is why the rich curate their environment ruthlessly. They are selective with people, information, and commitments. They say no easily. Poor people say yes to everything and wonder why nothing changes. Saying no is an act of power. Power is the ability to protect your direction. Direction matters more than speed. Running fast in the wrong direction accelerates failure. Most people are busy but directionless. Busyness is socially rewarded stagnation. Wealth requires empty space for strategic thought. Silence, boredom, distance. These scare people because they expose truth. In silence, excuses die. That is why most fill their lives with noise. Noise keeps them average. If you want to outpace 99% of people in 2026, you must become comfortable with discomfort that produces clarity. Clarity leads to decisive action. Decisive action compounds. This is the beginning. Most people try to increase income. The few who get rich fast increase control. Income is fragile. Control is scalable. If your money depends entirely on your physical presence, your mood, or your daily motivation, you are not wealthy. You are employed by yourself. The first shift in 2026 is this. Stop asking, how do I make more money? Start asking, how do I design a structure that produces money without negotiating with my emotions every day? Emotions fluctuate. Systems don't. The fastest wealth builders design environments that force productivity. They remove choice. Choice sounds like freedom, but too much choice creates hesitation. Hesitation creates delay. Delay kills asymmetry. When you wake up and ask yourself whether you feel like working, you've already lost ground. Discipline is unreliable when it relies on willpower. True discipline is architectural. You design your day so that the highest leverage task is the default, not the exception. In psychology, environment beats intention every time. If your phone is next to you, you will check it. If distractions are visible, they will pull you. If comfort is available, you will choose it. The wealthy remove friction from execution and add friction to distraction. They make it harder to fail than to move forward. That is control. The second shift is understanding leverage at a ruthless level. Leverage is doing once what pays repeatedly. There are four main forms: labor, capital, code, media. Most people only use labor. They trade time for money and wonder why it grows slowly. Time does not scale. Systems do. In 2026, digital leverage will compound faster than ever. A single idea packaged correctly can reach millions. A single system automated properly can generate revenue while you sleep. A single asset positioned strategically can appreciate without your presence. But leverage requires delayed gratification. You may work months with little visible return. This is where 99% quit. Humans are wired for immediate reward. The brain releases dopamine for quick wins, not long-term positioning. The rich override this wiring. They train themselves to tolerate ambiguity. Ambiguity is the battlefield of exponential growth. If you require constant reassurance, you will choose linear income. If you can operate calmly without applause, you can build leverage. The third shift is strategic selfishness. Most people dilute their energy across too many obligations. Family expectations, friend requests, social events, low-value collaborations. Every yes steals compounding potential. Time is not equal. An hour spent building an asset is not equal to an hour spent scrolling. Wealth accelerates when you become ruthless with allocation. Allocation of time, allocation of attention, allocation of capital. Money follows focus. If your focus is fractured, your income will be fragmented. The fastest wealth creators operate in cycles of obsession. They pick one vehicle, one angle, one unfair advantage, and they press it until it produces. Most people switch strategies too early. They try something for 3 weeks. It feels uncertain. They pivot. Pivoting feels productive, but it often hides fear. There is a difference between strategic adaptation and emotional escape. The poor escape discomfort. The wealthy analyze it. If something is not working, they don't abandon immediately. They diagnose. Diagnosis requires emotional neutrality. When you take failure personally, you lose data. Failure is information. Ego turns information into identity. The faster you detach ego from outcomes, the faster you learn. In 2026, feedback loops will be brutal and fast. Markets react instantly. Audiences shift quickly. Opportunities close without warning. Speed of learning will determine speed of earning. You cannot be fragile. Fragility is reacting emotionally to correction. Anti-fragility is using correction as acceleration. When criticism hits, most people defend. The wealthy extract. They ask, is there signal here? Is there misalignment? Is there positioning error? Then they adjust without drama. Drama is expensive. Energy spent proving yourself right is energy not spent refining your edge. Your edge is everything. An edge is a combination of skill, insight, and positioning that gives you disproportionate return for effort. Most people try to compete broadly. That is slow and exhausting. The rich narrow aggressively. They become specific, specialized, difficult to replace. When you are generic, you compete on price. When you are specific, you compete on value. Value commands margin. Margin accelerates capital accumulation. Capital is oxygen for opportunity. Without reserves, you cannot move when timing appears. And timing is the fourth shift. Money does not move at a constant speed. It moves in waves. Most people are psychologically unprepared for waves. When things are calm, they relax too much. When things are volatile, they panic. The wealthy prepare during calm and deploy during volatility. They study cycles, economic cycles, attention cycles, cultural cycles. Every cycle creates mispricing. When fear dominates, assets are discounted. When hype dominates, exits are available. If you move emotionally with the crowd, you will buy high and sell low. If you move against emotional extremes, you capture asymmetry. This requires emotional independence. Independence requires solitude. You must be able to think without absorbing collective anxiety. In 2026, information spreads instantly. Fear spreads faster. If you cannot filter noise, you will mistake headlines for reality. The rich build their own models, they ask. What is structurally changing? Where is technology shifting behavior? Where is attention underpriced? They do not chase trends. They anticipate direction. Anticipation is quieter than reaction. Reaction is crowded. Anticipation is lonely. Loneliness again. Everything fast and meaningful in wealth creation requires temporary isolation from consensus. The fifth shift is understanding power dynamics. Money is not only numbers, it is influence. If you control distribution, you control value. Creators without distribution beg. Distributors negotiate. If you build an audience, you build leverage. If you build relationships strategically, not emotionally, you build optionality. Networking for approval is weak. Positioning for mutual gain is powerful. Machiavellian thinking is not about manipulation. It is about clarity of incentives. Everyone moves for their own interest. If you understand what others want, you can structure alignment. Alignment accelerates execution. Instead of forcing outcomes, you design incentives. This is advanced leverage. When other people benefit from your success, they amplify it. But be careful. Dependency is dangerous. If one person controls your access to income, you are exposed. Diversify influence. Diversify channels. Diversify skills that generate value. Security comes from optionality, not loyalty. The sixth shift is psychological endurance. Getting rich faster than 99% is not about constant intensity. It is about sustained precision. Burnout destroys compounding. You must regulate energy like capital. Sleep is strategy. Health is leverage. Clarity is fuel. If your body collapses, your systems suffer. The wealthy treat themselves as assets. They invest in cognition, in focus, in resilience. Stress is inevitable. Chronic stress is mismanagement. Train your nervous system to remain calm under uncertainty. Cold decisions create warm results. Warm decisions often create cold consequences. In moments of pressure, slow down internally while acting externally. That paradox is power. The seventh and final shift is identity reconstruction. You cannot build elite wealth with average self-perception. If deep down you believe you are just trying, your behavior will align with survival, not dominance. You must see yourself as a builder of structures, not a participant in systems. Language shapes behavior. Stop saying, "I hope this works." Start saying, "I am testing and optimizing." Hope is passive. Optimization is active. Stop saying, "I need motivation." Start saying, "I execute regardless." Stop saying, "I'm lucky." Start saying, "I position strategically." Identity precedes behavior. Behavior precedes results. Results reinforce identity. This loop can trap you in mediocrity or launch you into disproportionate wealth. Most people underestimate how much their internal narrative controls external outcomes. If you see yourself as small, you will hesitate in large rooms. If you see yourself as strategic, you will observe before speaking. Observation is underrated power. The one who speaks first often reveals insecurity. The one who listens controls information. Information is leverage. In 2026, data will be abundant, but insight rare. Train yourself to read people. Watch hesitation. Watch overconfidence. Watch what is not said. Deals are made in subtext. Wealth often moves quietly between those who understand signals. If you want to move faster than 99%, stop chasing visible wealth and start building invisible advantage. Invisible advantage compounds until it becomes undeniable. At first, nobody notices. Then they question. Then they criticize. Then they imitate. By the time they imitate, you are already repositioning. Speed is not rushing. Speed is clarity plus decisive action repeated consistently without emotional collapse. Most people collapse internally long before they fail externally. They doubt. They compare. They seek reassurance. Reassurance slows momentum. Self-trust accelerates it. Self-trust is built by keeping promises to yourself. Small promises. Daily execution. Quiet consistency. Confidence is not loud, it is cumulative. In 2026, the world will be louder, faster, more distracting than ever. Those who master their psychology will dominate those who chase information. Money is not mystical. It flows toward clarity, leverage, positioning, and controlled aggression. Not chaos, not emotion, not fairness. If you remove emotional friction, build systems, stack leverage, understand timing, and reconstruct your identity, you will not move slightly faster than others. You will move in a different category entirely. And when you operate in a different category, comparison becomes irrelevant. The 99% are competing with each other. You are designing above them. That is how wealth accelerates, silently, strategically, inevitably.